With the playoffs well underway and many teams already very far into their offseason, Steven Stamkos is going to be the hottest commodity on the market here in this offseason. There's going to be a lot of teams who are going to be wanting him as a UFA and sign him to help their team go for a cup or help build a new franchise. So we're going to be talking about in this video who it could be. We have some ideas between us. There's going to be a lot more, but we have our favorites as of right now, as well as who we likely think it probably will be. So make sure to stick around and find out everything, what teams this will be. But before we get into all of this rumors and everything and reports, we know that 78% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your NHL news throughout this very, very busy upcoming offseason, you're in the right spot. Make sure to hit the sub button. Join us here as we cover everything from the top of the league right down to the bottom as we cover everything that you're going to want to hear. But like I said, this is going to be a really big offseason because Stamkos is the guy that everybody wants. He's going to be a UFA for the first time in a long time, where he's last seen the Toronto Maple Leafs seemingly very close to signing him. But this was the last thing we had seen from Steven Stamkos here. Eliminated from the playoffs, he waited on the bench for everybody to go before him and just kind of took what seemingly could be one final look in a Tampa Bay uniform. Now, however, this is probably not going to be the final time. I think we all know that. Steven Stamkos seems like a Tampa guy for life, and so does John Cooper, as he said this after their elimination. He belongs here, we know it, and he knows it. So, realistically, there are going to be a lot of options that we have to cover. We know there's a lot of options that are going to be, interested in at least Steven Stamkos, and it might engage in conversation, but we really need to talk about the people that we think most might benefit, we think might help out, and that Stamkos will probably go to. So Noah, who do you have as your number one, I guess you could say? Maybe number one, yeah. Who do you think would be a good fit?
To be completely honest with you, I think it'll be a weird world where Steven Stamkos is not on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Obviously, he's played his whole career there. We know he's been the 60-goal scorer. I'm not sure if he's won a Hart, but he's probably definitely been in talks for it. But it'll be a weird world without Steven Stamkos. But if I had to pick a team not on Tampa, I'm going to go with the Montreal Canadiens. To be completely honest with you, it's kind of a surprising pick, I guess. But you really got to look at their roster. I mean, obviously they're composed of young guys, all guys who have not a lot of games under their belt. Obviously we've seen Nick Suzuki had a really good year this year, topped almost 80 points. Cole Caulfield, perennial goal scorer, we know that. But also there's a whole other side of this, and if you look up top at management, obviously Ken Hughes is really smart and knows his way around the league. But behind the bench, they have one of Stamkos' good buddies in Martin St. Louis, and St. Louis and Stamkos have played, God, how many games together? They got that connection, and I mean they also have Vinny Lecavalier as one of their advisors. So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, it certainly does. And like you said, very right that it will seem like a weird world if he's not in a Tampa Bay uniform. I can't even believe it, to be honest with you. I can't picture it in my mind what it would look like. But you're right. Montreal is definitely, whether or not they're on the top of the board, they're definitely a potential landing spot because of their assets they have behind the bench and up in the booth. Vincent Lecavalier, Marty St. Louis, two guys that Stamkos knows very well, have helped him along his NHL journey and got him to the point where he is today. So I think there's going to be at least some conversation there. Whether or not it goes anywhere, we don't know at this point. We don't even know if anything's going to go anywhere with Tampa. But we do know for a fact that this is definitely an interesting one for the Montreal Canadiens. I'm sure Steven Stamkos is at least looking at it, or has it in the back of his mind at some point, that the Montreal Canadiens could potentially be an option. And as well, go ahead.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
Obviously they don't have a lot of the younger guys. I think their most experienced guy might be David Savard on their blue line. But you bring in a guy who with 2 cups and spending the league for since 08, I think he got drafted. I mean that's just a recipe for success in my eyes.
Yeah, and as well as, Steven Stamkos is not going to be one of these guys getting paid $12, $13, $14 million anymore. He's going to be a reasonably available player that many teams are going to be looking at to add to a playoff run or something along that type of scenario. But Montreal, I think, is definitely a great option. But I have a bit of a different side of the spectrum. The same division, however, I got the Boston Bruins. We've seen the Boston Bruins right now go to Game 7 against the Maple Leafs just last night. And this team don't really have a number one centerman. And even though Stamkos don't play on the wing don't play just center, he plays on the wing as well. the Boston Bruins could definitely use a player like Steven Stamkos to help what the next generation of Bruins of the younger side of this lineup develop, because we know this lineup is kind of composed of some people that are very young, some rookies and whatnot, some mid-tier aged players, and not very many older players. But realistically, I think the Bruins could definitely use him. Whatever the possibility is, I don't know. However, but from the Bruins lineup, you can see realistically the only older players on this team are Brad Marchand, James Van Riemsdyk, and Pat Maroon. Pat Maroon only being acquired at this year's deadline. So Charlie Coyle you can also throw in there, but other than that, there's not a lot of experience on this team anymore, on the forward side of things at least. So Steven Stamkos being able to put him at center, helping out these younger guys, as well as helping out Coyle and Zacha, who've kind of flipped around on that first line. I can see a world where Stamkos is definitely interested, helping this team get a cup, potentially go for another one, although two of these teams in the Boston and Montreal in the same division as Tampa, some rivalries have been generated there, but we really don't know anything at this point. It's not too much of a thing in the game anymore where a rival you never sign with. We see it a lot now that people don't really care. They're kind of in it for the money or for the win, and Steven Stamkos is not that type of player, but these two teams got to be very interesting for him, at least in some aspect of his game. So, both of these guys, both these teams, I should say, very big options. However, there's so many more that we can't even count on. I've seen Seattle, an interesting team there, kind of helping that team age up, trying to get some solid, NHL forwards on that team. Nashville, who've kind of been in a weird spot. Some history between Nashville and Tampa, the trade with Tanner Jeannot. A bunch of teams like that are just looking to add for what a not expensive price he could be. But realistically, the one that is going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't think there's any way it's not, to be honest with you. And although that might sound a bit painful for many fans looking to see Steven Stamkos join your favorite team, I don't see him outside of a Lightning jersey. And, like you said, Noah, you can't even picture it. A lines like that, he's been on just about every pairing here, up and down the lineup, center, the wing, a power play, and whatnot. And he's just a perfect fit for this team. He's a Lightning for life, and ultimately could go down, if not already, one of the best Tampa Bay Lightning of all time. So, Noah,
definitely a case, yeah.
What do you think about the return to Tampa? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's likely? And, do you think he's there for the rest of his career if he does sign?
I think it's inevitable, plain and simple. Obviously he's been the face of that franchise. I mean, even with guys like Kucherov, Victor Hedman, Andrei Vasilevsky, he's the face of that franchise. He's their captain for a reason. I mean, I'm backing the Brinks truck up, to be completely honest with you. I maybe a 2-year deal for Stamkos. I don't know what AAV could be. I mean, he had a really, really good year this year as well. Even, at what is he, 34, 35? Yeah. He could still get, 8.5, 9 million, no problem. So he definitely fits the Lightning team 100%.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing to me that really questions that decision is whether or not Tampa decides to proceed in being a Stanley Cup team or being a deep playoff team. Because if they don't, Steven Stamkos will not be getting paid by this team and likely wouldn't resign. So it really all depends on, I think, what the future looks like for this Tampa Bay Lightning team, whether they even engage in contract talks. But, John Cooper from this quote here, obviously, is putting that out there that he wants Stamkos on this team, and the Lightning really have no sign of slowing down, it seems like. Although this year, the Florida Panthers definitely sent him home early. But other than that, we don't really know too much right now. There's a lot of reports, a lot of wishing, a lot of hoping, but there's nothing solidified. And I'm very excited to see where this does proceed in the coming months. So if you want to find out, stay up to date with all the NHL free agents and everything, make sure to hit the sub button. We're going to be having a lot of talks about this as time does go on until we see free agency hit. But as of right now, that's all we got. So if you did enjoy, like I said, make sure to hit the sub button. Make sure to hit the like button as well. Let us know you're enjoying the videos, but that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.